Welcome to Pay Attention, the podcast bridging science, lived experience, and contemplative practices. I'm your host, Holly McNEILL, and unfortunately, I'm not able to be with you if you're listening live today, but I don't want you to miss this heart-opening conversation between myself, Margaret Arndt-Caddigan, and Cheyenne Moore. Both ladies I had as guests before on the podcast, and Cheyenne's open heart caught Margaret's attention. And they asked maybe someday we could speak together. And we did last September. It was lovely. So when I realized that I couldn't be here live today, I asked Cheyenne, who has her own podcast, A Safe Space with Cheyenne, and she was on it. She said, let me know when to be there and I'll be there. So without further ado, to create the heart-opening space to listening to this wonderful episode, thank you so much for hosting, Cheyenne Moore.
Hello, friends. It is your guest host, Cheyenne Moore. I am here today to introduce you not only to the episode, but to Margaret Arndt-Caddigan is also here with me as well. We will be showing you our joint episode. If you would like to see our full episodes, we have episode 32 and 33 on season 1. Holly, Margaret, and I would love to tell you that we thank you so much for this opportunity to take care of your show, but also we miss your face.
Absolutely. Hi, Holly.
So, recapping this episode really quick before we start, we were talking about how this journey is going to strengthen our intuition and help with discernment. There's a little clip talking about not resonating with certain teachings or certain classes. What is some advice really quick that you would give people if they find themselves in that situation?
I think it goes to the old saying, trust the process. Trust yourself. If it's not right for you, that's okay. There's something right for you. It's just not this.
Perfect. Wonderfully said. There will be a comment section that you can chat with us during the live. And if you have anything that you would like to discuss with us afterwards, we will pop on live after the episode, my friends. Enjoy the show.
Hi, I'm Holly McNEILL, and welcome to another episode of Pay Attention. I'm so excited today because I'm bringing back 2 guests that I've already had on the podcast. And today we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, and that is kind of your spiritual awakening, awareness, enlightenment, kind of getting to know your higher self versus paranormal psychology. I love this. And I'd like to thank Margaret Arndt-Caddigan, Dr. Margaret Arndt-Caddigan, for bringing this up, because she came on as a guest, and she then said, hey, I want to talk to this other guest of yours, Cheyenne Moore. So welcome both of you to the podcast. Thank you so much for coming back. Margaret, I'm going to just give you each, since you've both been on the podcast, they should know you a little bit. Just give kind of your, elevator pitch of who you are, and we'll get going. Margaret, you want to start?
I'm Margaret Arndt-Caddigan, and today I'm identifying simply as crone because I'm retired, and I'm trying to decide what I want to be when I grow up. I used to be an academic, and I used to be a therapist, and right now I'm not doing either of those 2 things. So I'm delighted to be here.
All right. So Margaret is being modest. She is a PhD, distinguished clinical and retired faculty from Eastern Carolina University School of Social Work. But more interesting about Margaret is her extensive history and understanding and education in religion, and her curiosity about that versus, the clinical side of mental illness and what that all means. So hold on that for a moment. Let's introduce Cheyenne Moore. So happy this young lady is back on my podcast. We have a relationship that goes back a couple of years now. And just reintroduce yourself, Cheyenne.
Hello, friends. I'm Cheyenne. I'm so excited to be back with Holly, and I appreciate all of the things that Margaret said, not only on her episode, but then this interview coming into play. As much as I love the spirituality of things, I also love the science behind things. So having someone recognize that and want to discuss that in that format, I was absolutely elated to get this invitation. For my other show that you've seen on Holly's podcast, I have my own podcast called Safe Space with Cheyenne, and I am also an author of the trippy experiences that we're going to discuss today.
Great. So let's dig in. Let's talk about, first of all, Margaret's got so much great information about how spiritual awakening is seen in the academic world, and Cheyenne had this amazing awakening. I would say that for me, it's happened step by step, maybe the more kind of accepted way to kind of self-realization and, the word, blah, blah, blah. And every time I had a question, the answer showed up. But I have met people like Cheyenne where there's just a moment that it all kind of come into clarity. So what interested you in her topic?
I have a question about your slow unfolding, which is, did you do that with a teacher or with a system? Because the differences I've seen clinically, just personally, anecdotally, is that people who are practicing within a system and have a teacher are kind of titrated into awareness, whereas people who are practicing on their own, maybe not even practicing at all, are just chosen, if I can use that word. For them, it's often this very disorienting experience. And that's when they come to a therapist, and sometimes they come to the wrong one, and sometimes they come to the right one and say, "Oh, am I going crazy?" At which point a good therapist is going to say, "No, you're not."
Yeah.
So my question, Holly, were you inducted into your awakening?
I might be the anomaly here, because I hit a very, very low point at what's now being recognized as a quarter-life crisis. And I made a vow to find better. Life, give me another chance, Buddha, and I will do better. And for 20 years, there were teachers along the way, but I looked at neuroscience, psychology, everything just started showing up. It was amazing. I didn't have to look. I didn't have to search. The next, if I had a question, the next thing was the answer. And when I was done with one understanding, the next thing showed up, and it's been this amazing, amazing journey. But
that's so cool. So cool.
Anyway, should we have Cheyenne re-explain her experience? Why don't you give us your awakening experience, Cheyenne, and we'll go from there.
So some tidbits. I was trying to put it together because I knew you were going to ask me this. I worked in a job that was basically my identity for almost 10 years. And before that, I had left the identity of a very broken relationship. So that job, in my definition of my timeline, really saved my life at the time. So I gave everything to that job I could. I moved around. I traveled for it. I had my hobbies, but it was the job. And around the time where I was getting married, that job actually ended. And I realized, even though I was extremely unhappy in the job I was doing, it was still a huge part of my identity and building the 401k climb the ladder thing that we all do, right?
Yeah.
So when all of that came crashing down, I went to my bachelorette party in Colorado, and I was just staring at the mountain. I just remember having these thoughts of I have no idea who I actually am. I know what I like to do. I know what I love to do when I was younger. But it's I put myself on a bookshelf and just wore a mask for so long. And I was just a completely different person. I was really pessimistic and condescending and almost cynical, to the point where I probably hurt a lot of people's feelings. And then when I, kind of spelled it out, hey, after I get back from Colorado, I'm not going to go get another salary job. I'm not going to go worry about this timeline. I'm going to take the next year of my life off. Not only am I going to get married, go on a honeymoon, and potentially start a family, but I'm just going to figure out who I am and what I actually want to do and be in life. And on top of that, I absolutely love doing yoga. So I started doing a restorative yoga class, very slow. You have to breathe and feel into your bones and feel in your body. And I remember just slowly breaking in those moments. And I was never a crier before those times or anything. I always held everything in. So that was one of the many times where yoga had like really taught me it's okay to feel your body and slow down. And within, however many months of that, I just felt this continued unraveling over and over and over. And then one day I came home from class and I had thought that I had gotten my whole practice out, and I pulled my mat back out into the living room, and I just felt this energy in the lower part of my spine. It just felt like it needed to come up, and I just kept moving my body and moving. And then as I told Holly before, I just did this great thing of surrender, where I was like, please release me from this, whatever's in my body, whatever's in my mind, whatever's blocking me, stopping me. Release me, praying to anything that I believed in at the time. And then the energy like shot up my spine into my heart. And I felt this huge energetic heart expansion. And I have no definition for anything at the time. So I'm going to tell the story like I don't have the definition. But my heart expanded, and like I remember like my eyes just opened so bright, like I could finally see. And I just remember like feeling the same love that people in like near-death experiences describe when they like go to heaven or meet God or meet Jesus. This inexplicable, unconditional love just like radiated throughout all of me. And I was just like, I get it, but yet I'm still so confused. Like, what just happened? Things like this, don't happen to people like me. So I went through all of that, and I went back to my yoga teacher and was telling her about it. And she was like, your Kundalini can release during all of this, especially with all the stuff you're going through in your life. She goes, but like the soul kind of decides when it wants to wake up too. And as much as I love like spiritual texts and all of that, I wasn't like a full believer until I had direct experience with it. And then after that, it was just like down the rabbit hole of like trying to somewhat prove and find definition for what happened, and then like debunk it at the same time. Like, no, this can't possibly be. But the transformation was just so rapid and so fast that, I had no choice but just to believe what was happening to me and really go with the research of things.
I think that's part of what brings people into therapy, which is this knowing that it's absolutely true. It's absolutely irrefutable. I experienced what I experienced. And please tell me it wasn't true. Please don't make me face the unknown. Because if that happened and it's true, then I'm not me anymore. And I don't know who I am.
With me, or this isn't right, or... but
all of my relationships, I thought it was really interesting that you said you went to your fiance and said, maybe you don't want to marry me. I mean, everything you are and associated with is blown open.
But that is the journey.
Completely.
Yeah, that actually is the journey that we're all on. And here people are calling it mental illness or evil or some other things that you talked about. I had a friend, and I mentioned this in our podcast, Margaret, that just passed away. And right before he died, he had one of those near-death experiences and felt that peace and that openness. But, what a shame that you had to do it then. So Cheyenne did it early on, but then still had this brain trying to make sense of it all. And that's what can cause that fear that there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was definitely a back and forth, but I don't know if I referenced this in the last episode, so I'll just retell it. But I had what I believe was like a small Kundalini activation when I was around 20, and I documented it severely in my notebooks. And I had spiritual texts and definitions and chakras and all of this in my old notebooks that had been put back on a bookcase. So when I felt the recognition of that feeling again, I was like, this can't be happening again. This is a lot more powerful than the last time this happened. So when I pulled all of my notebooks out, it was honestly like revelations for me. Like I was re-seeing and re-remembering things that it's like my past self was like trying to help my future self out at the time. So I'm glad that I had an earlier experience, because like I think it probably would have been more detrimental to my mental state had I not had that like precursor happen so long ago.
Yeah. And life provides that for you. But go ahead, Margaret.
Well, I think what I've seen, and this is just anecdotal, I don't have any data, but I think those first experiences continue to operate on the unconscious level and 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 lead us to that second experience, right? And so it's not a surprise to me when you say there was a precursor. It's like, yes, and then unconsciously you were walking on a path that you didn't even know you were on.
Breadcrumbs, for sure.
Yeah.
So you said the soul kind of knows when it's ready. And, you know, for me, like I said, it's been this slow, and I appreciate it all. I don't appreciate it. Crawl, you know, but for those people that are listening out there and they may have experienced something like this and it frightens them. I mean, what do you want them to know? Margaret?
Well, I want them to know that there are people in this world who can help you. And when I first started writing my book, I thought, you know, there are therapists who are trained to help you, and there are therapists who may hurt you. So be discerning. But in writing the book and in asking various people in my life to read the manuscript before it was published, it occurred to me that helpers come in all different flavors. It doesn't need to be a therapist. It can be a spiritual guide. It can be, a cleric. It can be some kind of teacher. It could be a coach. There's lots of helpers, and I just want you to know that find the right helper. It's not going to make the process easy peasy, but at least you're going to have somebody walking next to you saying, so A, you're not crazy. And B, just so you know, 10 feet ahead on the path, there's an exposed root. Let's step over that.
So she's talking about embracing the paranormal, her book I'm not sure how long it's been out, but
not long.
Right. But Cheyenne, you didn't really did you have those helpers? Did you feel like you needed those helpers, or when it first happened, because you had the prior experience, you were kind of okay with it?
Yes, I've always been a fan of going to like metaphysical stores, thrift stores. If I was like on any type of vacation, I'm like, oh, look, there's palm reading and a psychic reading. And I think it was because it was like taboo where we grew up and like we weren't supposed to do it. So again, I've always had like that curiosity, right? So there was a metaphysical fair like right before this happened that I actually went to in the town that I lived in. And I just walked around talking to people, and these places are like filled with card readers, psychics, anything, you name it. And I would walk up to them and they would just be like, wow, your energy is like off the charts. Like, you know, all of your chakras are just open. And I was like, okay, you know, thank you so much. I thought it was like a energetic compliment. I didn't realize what they were telling me is like your heart chakra is open, your third eye is open, you know, like all of these people I just kind of met along the way. And I ended up meeting a few people that had awakenings. I don't know if they've had a Kundalini awakening exactly like my experience, because they're all different, but I'm like, you know, tell me your story. How did you get into this line of work? And it was always I was this person, this experience happened energetically, and now I'm this person. And I just saw that correlation in all of these people's stories where they switched from like almost like a collective goal and a goal of servitude versus whatever they were doing in their prior life. So I just started like collecting stories from everybody and trying to, you know, again, like prove that I'm not having a mental breakdown or an existential crisis, that, you know, this energetic thing really did happen to me. This transformation is okay. And it is okay to go down this path, because I did have a lot of old subconscious programming about like religion that I didn't realize was even still stuck in me until I went to go down this path and really explore those things. So on and off, I've had a tremendous amount of guidance, but just like she says, you can have a therapist that helps you or a therapist that hurts you. It's tenfold in the spiritual community. There's a lot of what they call spiritual grifting, you know, people that really want you to pull away from your intuition so they can be like your seer and your guide to source, what I would say. And I worked personally with people like that. They were under investigation the whole time I was with them, just based on like trust issues, I would say. But ultimately, like my intuition was like, get away from this person. They're not a safe person. So I would eventually like exit out of that. But I've always believed anybody that you sit in front of, maybe not everything they say is for you, maybe like lines 5 through 10 are for you and you just leave the rest on the table. And that's how I've been able to go into so many groups and interview so many people, submerging myself in it, keeping an open mind, and then just taking what's for me and leaving. I don't ever really get too attached.
And I think that a really good spiritual helper is going to say exactly that. Like, I see the world the way I see it. You will see it differently. You listen to you. Don't listen to me. Trust the way that spirit guides you. I'm just like a suggestion.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. The universe has your back, right? That trust is something that really helped me, because much like Cheyenne, I just kind of felt my way along and, you know, took in whatever, soaked up whatever I could come across. But then it brings up the question, those people that have these experiences, and I wonder what percentage of people that do really get the wrong information. How many of those people are stuck, you know, diagnosed with schizophrenia or whatever, you know, and really feel badly about themselves for what's going on. So Margaret, do you have any, you know, you obviously were, felt the need to write this book. So there obviously are people out there that have these experiences and don't know what to do with them.
Yeah, I don't have any statistics on how many people have been helped versus hurt. I certainly know that right now in the therapeutic community, it's the minority of the therapeutic community who know about parapsychology, who know about integrating spiritual techniques into their work. There is a whole group of therapists right now. They're called the Black Sheep Therapists. And the head of the group is writing a book that's going to be coming out in a couple of months, where she's really legitimizing within the world of psychotherapy therapists who use complementary and alternative spiritual methods and are aware of and participate in the spiritual world, the world of spirituality. So if I was going to go to a therapist today, I would absolutely interview them very carefully. And one of the first, actually, I joke because my daughter said that the first question she asked her new therapist to interview the therapist to see if it would be a good fit is, I see ghosts. So what are we going to do about that?
So you mentioned before in our interview that historically spirituality and paranormal experiences were much more connected. And then at one point they were pulled apart to be legitimized. So it's kind of coming full circle, right? It's starting to come back to, hey, this, you know, my goal, my excitement, and my whole, I don't know, reason for being here is to really help people explain that this is the journey. The mind is, you know, we are this amazing source that is here to experience and touch and feel, and we can't do it without the mind. But the mind can, you know, not trick us. It's actually there to protect you. But if you don't pay attention, you kind of forget that part of you. So this unraveling that Cheyenne talked about, this is what we're here to do. So I'm excited to hear that it's coming back around to understand that this awakening, this what you see is how you create life and how you exist and enjoy life here on Earth while you're here this very brief period of time.
It's what's really exciting to me. And again, it's only in its infancy. It's a very small minority, but there are a group of scientists. They signed the Manifesto for Post-Materialist Science. who are coming out and saying we need to change science from purely materialist to understand that mind is real.
Yeah.
It's not an epiphenomenon of your body. And if we're going to learn about the human experience, we have to go back to those early philosophers and the early religious people who were saying, let's understand mind.
Yeah. Hinduism talks about it in the Bhagavad Gita, the golden mean, Taoism, Buddhism, all of that. Now, you're right. Modern day thought leaders are starting to catch up with that. So.
And I want to plug the West because my study of the history of religions is mostly in the West. And if we look at Hermeticism and we look at Neoplatonism, I mean, all of that was in the West too. And we tend to think that Western thought started with logical positivism, right? And the scientific revolution. But no, there's much more that predated that is aligned with post-materialist thinking.
Yeah. And so you're saying it's just starting to show up. But anyway, Cheyenne, you weren't looking for it, though. You were just hitting a low point. And it seems like we almost always have to hit a low point before we actually look at this. And I don't know if that's the journey of your soul or your karmic contracts or whatever. But Cheyenne, when this came to you, I mean, you talked about Kundalini experience. Explain what that means a little bit for the listeners.
I used to be so much better with the dictionary version of it.
All right, well, just give us your version.
I'm just going to do the storytelling version now. So basically, in the chakra system literature that you can look up, it talks about a coiled serpent at the base of your spine next to your root chakra with a tremendous amount of energy. And do you know, the medical symbol of the two snakes wrapping around? So that's technically it's Shiva and Shakti energy, masculine and feminine, spiraling up together to go through all of the chakras of your body, hit into the crown, align the hemispheres of your brain, and then shoot and open your crown chakra up to God, spirit, source, universal consciousness. So when I say Kundalini, I am referencing how my body actually felt with the energy moving up my body. So there's a tremendous amount of pressure in your root, sacral, and solar plexus to the point where you just got to move. You just got to really flow and move it out of you. And it feels like a coil that's coming up. Some people have said it's painful. I didn't feel any pain. I felt pressure. I felt heat. I felt momentum to move. And you just feel energetically in your body, things were unlocking and opening. And for people that do yoga classes, I think they can understand that more because that is the basis of really taught to really feel into your body and what you're moving and opening. So there's plenty of books you can read on Kundalini. Right. I can't even figure out one right now to say, but it's energy going up your spine. It is completely mystical in a sense because nobody is taught about energy or the subtle body energy in any capacity. So, if you just tell normal people that don't know anything about it, they're like, okay.
Exactly. People have to want to find it. And it is about opening. It's about opening those chakras. And when you open, you're unraveling that conditioning in your head, those belief systems, and you see life differently. But you're right. We're not taught any of that. So not only is, once you have this experience and, you think there's something wrong with you, it's a very little shift into this collaboration between therapy and spirituality. We're not taught about this amazing journey and how all of this works when we're younger. And I think, another soapbox I want to stand on is to get that information out to people. So, and that's what we're doing here today. And I just feel both of your hearts just open, wanting to tell people that this experience is available to anyone who wants it, right? Anyone. For me, it was believing there was better. And you don't necessarily have to hit that rock bottom. So both of you, as we wrap up, what would you want to say to someone who's either really stuck and lost, or someone who's experienced this and scared? Margaret, we'll start with you. What kind of tip, or what's your what would you like to say to them?
Last time you asked, I said a practice, and I stick by that. A regular practice is really important.
Yeah.
And I think as we talk about guides and we talk about teachers and helpers, I want to also say that there are unseen helpers. There are spirit guides.
Yes.
And there are your higher self and higher powers. And if you can listen to them, it's going to help you.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but also not accepted in the scientific community. And you're absolutely right. The scientific community has to change. I mean, this whole world is a field of vibrations and probabilities. So yes, there's definitely those spirits out there. So anyway, sorry about that. You keep going.
Well, and no, I'm just saying that they're out there. And if you are lost, if you are confused, if you are hurt, if you need guidance, they want to help you. Yeah, so listen to them. They have your best interest at heart.
Right. The universe has your back. You can also go inside, right, and search. So thank you. Cheyenne, what would you want to tell somebody out there?
From my experience, this journey is about re-strengthening your intuition, trusting yourself, and finding discernment along the way. So if you find yourself in a book, in a group, in a lecture, and you're not really vibing with it, don't feel bad that you don't understand a spiritual concept. Maybe it's not for you. It's past the Kundalini and past the energy and past the spiritual tools. You can go buy all the crystals you want, read all the books you want, but what's really going to connect you to you is sitting in silence with no thought. That's when the true magic is going to come in. I highly recommend a journal, because you will be impressed with what comes out of your vessel in those moments. But at the end of the day, it's a relationship that you're rebonding with whatever you call the Most High that created all of us. So no special tools, attached to whatever you would like to, but understand, even in any form of spirituality, there are so many traps that you can get stuck in, thinking you're evolving on a path, but you're just kind of like a hamster on a wheel. So pick a modality up, learn it. If you like it, if that's what you want to do, great. But if you feel like you should go learn more, just trust yourself and that intuition to just keep moving down the path.
Yeah, the universe has your back. I love that. You both talked about meditation and finding that stillness, because ultimately in Zen Buddhism is, basically non-thinking. And it is in that non-thinking that you access this vast realm of intelligence beyond thought, the space, the clarity, and so forth. So all of these tools that we've talked about, therapy, spiritual tools, Reiki, tarot cards, all of that is helpful, yes, but ultimately it's in the silence. It's in that stillness. And the thinking mind doesn't have to find the way. Find the stillness and you will understand. So.
Well said.
Well, both of you, this has been amazing and joyful, and I can just feel the joy coming from here. So thank you so much for joining me. As I said, in our individual episodes, we could keep going on forever. So I think Cheyenne has a Safe Space with Cheyenne podcast. You also have a podcast, Margaret?
Finding Our Minds. I have a co-podcast. I have a co-host who is my daughter, and that's a really interesting dynamic. So that gets fun.
Yeah, well, there's more information out there. If you're on this journey, if you've experienced something, if you're wondering, just really, you can just use your power of imagination to open your heart, sit in silence, make that intention to find your way, and you will definitely find your way. So thank you, Cheyenne and Margaret, so much for being here.
Thank you both.
Thank you, listeners, for joining me for this so heart-opening episode of Pay Attention. I hope that if this human journey of yours is to see life with that clarity and joy, that you'll put that intention out there and you'll pay attention to what shows up. Till next time, namaste.
Wow. How did you feel watching that back?
Wow, that you're great. Let me just say, thank you for being you.
Yes, I was giggling in the back office at several things both of us said. I think the best part of ourselves came out in that episode. I had a lot of reminders that you kept bringing up when you were talking, and I can't tell you how much I wish I had somebody like you when I was going through all of that, because I just felt like so validated on like so many different scientific levels when you would break the experiences down for me. And I hope any viewers that are out there that have had this experience or know anybody, that they can take this information and either help themselves or help their friend feel less crazy in a very destabilizing moment.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I think as you were talking, what I picked up on were 3 eyes. One was intuition, one was imagination, and the third one, I can't remember what the third one was. But really, truly, that trust that you will be led by your intuition. Allow yourself to be led by your intuition.
I think we could say integration, which wasn't a big thing that we got involved in, but it is kind of something you should focus on when you go from material to material, or as I would say, investigation to investigation. Give yourself time to integrate all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said.
Yeah. What are you working on right now?
Right now, it was funny that I said I didn't know what I was going to be when I grow up, because apparently I figured out what I'm going to be when I grow up. I'm co-writing a handbook of noetic consultation with a colleague of mine, and we're developing this system of noetic consultation where we use philosophy and spirituality to help people align with their higher selves.
Send me a copy. Let me know when
Okay. I will send you the manuscript. I would be happy to email it to you.
Oh, I would love to. And I'm just going to say send it to Holly too, because if she was here, she would be like, yes, yes, I want that. I want that.
Yeah, yeah. So what are you working on?
I'm still writing the same books that I am. I have a novel going, an ebook going, and I'm still putting out episodes every Friday. I have a beautiful backlog of content and new episodes coming out every week. So I'm super blessed. I just celebrated my 35th birthday and things are just really rolling over here.
Oh, that's great. Happy birthday. That's wonderful.
Thank you so much. And next week, Holly will be back. We won't be here. So it was lovely to see all of you that are still live in the chat. But she is going to bring on a guest named Robbie Kale. He is a poet and a therapist. They will be discussing poetry, spirituality, and just talking about the human journey through lived experience. So friends, thank you so much for sharing your time with us today and listening to our episode, and we will see you next week, okay?
Thanks for watching Pay Attention with Holly McNEILL. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next week on Wednesday at 10 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern.